Welcome, everybody. Grand rising and good morning to you out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm always inside step with my co-host, Big O. What's up, Big O?
Good morning, Trey Holiday.
Good morning.
It's Thursday. We're trying to limp towards Friday.
No, almost there. Friday Eve.
We're trying to limp towards Friday. I want to say good morning to our viewing audience, and also remind you this is a very good time right now to tag and share this stream. Go ahead and share this stream on your page or a friend's page that would appreciate culturally relevant information emanating here from the Central District of Seattle through our Pioneer Square studio.
That's right, absolutely.
Man, big show today. So today we're going to start off with civil rights lawyer Sade Smith. Sade No Chill. Seattle Police Department, they put out the tape yesterday. It was really fast. We said that 72 hours it has to come out, and they put the tape out real quick. So the tape came out last night. It's disturbing. So we're going to play part of it. And before we do, we're going to make sure and let our audience members know before we play it, because it is it's a bit disturbing. I'll be honest with you. Then we're going to be joined. We got a few more headlines after that. Then we're going to be joined by a funny man, Mr. Nate Jackson. Man, hometown kid makes good. Nate, he just opened Nate Jackson's super funny comedy club down there in Tacoma, and it was around this time last year. It was opening, and then it got closed down. COVID, open, close, open. It's at 25% now, and so he's got a roster that's going, and so we're going to talk to him about that. But also, Nate starred in the Young Rock. He stars as the Junkyard Dog on NBC show, the Young Rock, and so we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. Then near the bottom of the hour, we're joined by KY King Garrett of Africatown Community Land Trust. The state of Africatown is this weekend, and so he's going to talk about some of the stuff going on there.
Nice. Great lineup today. I'm ready to get into it. Oh,
yeah. You look great, by the way.
Thank you. You know what? I got to give our director and producer extraordinaire, Nikki Barron, some love. I had a scene that was out on this, like right when I first bought it, didn't know. Nikki fixed it for me. Thank you, Nikki. Made sure I was able to show my little Afghan. I'm ready.
Yeah, there's not much that Nikki Barron doesn't know how to do. Right. So yeah, this is on. I guess we'll jump right into it with this police shooting. What's today? Thursday? It's Wednesday, so it's Tuesday. Yeah, and actually it occurred just 3 blocks from our studio. I was just walking home after recording, and I saw the scene there. I got a phone call there. Somebody who lived in the building called, everything else. And the police put out the tape. And so want to give everybody here a heads up. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to play a portion of the tape. The police included the 911 calls in there as well. Well, actually, it wasn't 911. It was a conversation between Port of Seattle Police and the Seattle Police Department. We're going to play about 30 seconds here. This is when the officer first interacted with the victim, still unnamed, in full speed, and then there's slow-mo, and then we're going to play in full speed again, and we'll bring in Sade. So I want to warn you that this video is it's really disturbing. So we'll give you a few seconds here, people. All right, here we go.
No, sounds like your guys are there with him.
Yep.
There he is, stop. Hold on, watch out, he's got a knife. You need to stop.
No.
Stop where you're at.
No. Just do it.
No!
Do it.
Get down on the ground!
Do it.
Stop!
Please kill me.
So that's the in full speed, and the Seattle Police Department released a slow motion version of the last few seconds. So right there, what they've done is they've highlighted this man with a knife in his hands. You know, what was interesting is the eyewitness who hit us yesterday or 2 days ago said that he saw a guy there with his hands up. He didn't. He also had a knife in his hand. He had his hands up. That's what the eyewitness said. And that's what the question that I asked, remember the PIO, eyewitness also said that they heard 4 or 5 shots. And that's what we heard right there. So we're going to go ahead and bring in Sade. Hey, what's up, Sade?
Hi, how are you? How's everyone?
Good. So we're here. We're gonna play this one more time for our now that we have you here in studio. 1 second.
No, sounds like your guys are there with them.
There he is. Stop. Hold on. Watch out. He's got a knife. You need to stop.
No.
Stop where you're at.
No. Just do it.
No.
Do it.
Get down on the ground.
Do it.
Stop.
Please kill me.
All right, Sade. I guess initially, the tape's here. It's out. Came out in about 24 hours after the shooting. What are your thoughts?
This is just another example of the impact and problem with unchecked police authority. I know that people want to separate what happened last week with Gregory Taylor and what happened this week with on the 16th, but they're part of the same continuum, and that is police not showing restraint in the way that they should. And I think it was more comfortable for folks to write off the situation with Gregory Taylor because of the actions that he took prior to and the fact that he had a weapon. But what happens is that police violence is no respecter of persons, and we see that every single day. We see the impact on even the protests and the brutality that police are showing with the gassing of people, with shooting people with rubber bullets. We also see the fact that SPD continuously escalates the situation and will literally light up a neighborhood when they don't need to, when they have access to other resources and non-lethals. And so when we get caught up in the conversation about, what did the person who was shot do, we relieve the government of their accountability, of their responsibility. They have the power. Their actions are governed by the Constitution. We have constitutional rights to due process, liberty, and life. And the people, the individual on the 16th and Mr. Taylor also lost their life in an extrajudicial killing. So this is a continuation of a broader conversation. We saw what happened with Charlene Lyles. We saw the violence that was on the Indigenous community with John T. Williams. We saw Josiah Felatoge get shot in the back of the head. Police violence, again, is no respecter of persons. So when we have this conversation, I hope we can have the conversation as not just an individual conversation because this person was in a mental health crisis, but also the broader systemic conversation of when we have unchecked government authority.
Yeah, I see this and literally I'm like, how many times do we need to see these kinds of situations play out in this way before people understand at a broader sense, in a larger sense, that there is a need for a different form of response when it comes to mental health crises? Sade, this is unfortunate, but we just keep seeing these cases come in time and time again. How much more do we need to see?
I hope no more. I mean, the loss of life, there's just so much trauma going on. I mean, we're in the middle of a global health crisis. We're in the middle of a situation where an economic crisis, people are struggling. And so we're going to see more people reacting, having mental health responses. And the fact that SPD gets $410 million a year when Rainier Beach PTA only had $2,000, and this is the response we get, is this really what our resources are paying for? This is our community money. This should be going to support resources that are going to help people, not harm people. So hopefully this goes to a broader conversation. And, it's interesting because when we talk about defunding the police, we're not saying, it's not a political slogan. This is real life. And so when we keep backing a military response and a harmful response to community, we're going to get more death in our streets. So we need to, again, defund and invest in community responses that are going to be hopeful and help healing.
Hi, Sade. So what exact Well, it's a few different things. Is you're right. There is disagreement in the community around actions last week and the shooting up in Nam and the shooting this week. And definitely, I think it's a difference of opinion even between me and you. But this is why this platform is here, though, because we can have a difference of opinion, but we can also have a conversation. And I would love to follow up with you on the conversation about Nam on another time. It's not enough time this morning. But in a larger question here, when you're talking about community response, or even not even community response, how a municipality or a city should respond to public safety, when we see these situations here where it's a mental health crisis and somebody with a weapon, what are some of the responses that are out there that you recommend, or some of the things that you've seen in other cities that might work?
Well, when I was an undergrad, I worked in a semester at a crisis clinic. Like people would call in crisis, and what I was experiencing was that people are in so much mental turmoil, and this is again way before the pandemic. And so, if you can respond, I mean, it's interesting about SPD. What they did is they drove to the scene. The first thing they do is pull out weapons. They put themselves in the reach of somebody who just had a knife. And I understand that a knife is technically a weapon, but they put themselves in that situation. And there were no other efforts to try to engage the person. The person is walking closer, but again, not close enough for anybody to be harmed. And so it needs to be a community response. There are mental health professionals. There are people who have training. When you're dealing with somebody with a mental health crisis, you don't escalate, put anybody in danger. You don't pull out a gun. Pulling a firearm on somebody is a felony. It's a Class A felony. So if anybody in the community did that, they would definitely be prosecuted. But SPD is allowed to do that because they have the authority of the government. Only people are dying in our streets. So there are tons of responses that include people with, training in the situation to actually address people that don't have to involve weapons. This person should have never died.
Right. And in the Seattle Police Department, my understanding, at least there used to be, there was a crisis intervention team that was here to respond to these types of situations. I think that every situation is probably different, clearly. But have we seen like crisis intervention specialists there with the Seattle Police Department deployed in different types of situations that you know of?
What I know of is police pulling guns on people all of the time. I have not seen a crisis intervention team. Now, I would actually request that any type of crisis intervention have no attachment whatsoever to the police, because the police's response to everything is pull a gun on somebody. So when you have that type of response, when you have, SPD officers flying to the Capitol for an insurrection, when you have the issues of white supremacy, when you have the lack of accountability because OPA is not willing to hold them accountable, then you can't trust that type of authority. You can't trust people safety in the hands of SPD. So we need a community-based response and the money to go to community and not the police.
Yeah, I have to do a comparative analysis here and just ask your thoughts on this. When the police were faced with, the big Seahawk player, that, it looked like attempted murder, domestic violence against his girlfriend, and they, deployed their taser and they did something else. I have to ask you, do you see that there's a huge difference in the ways that certain police respond? I know that was Kent Police Department versus Seattle, but in terms of a lot of the cities where so many of the global majority live, I mean, are you seeing that there's a wide range of ways that police are engaging in these kinds of cases with regard to, I don't know if it's race-based, because that man was not, did not look like a man of color, but I just wanted to ask you that, because when we see that and we hear that the taser didn't work initially and they were still found a different way to bring him down, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, the statistics show that people of color, specifically Black and Indigenous people, are exposed to excessive force by police, even in Seattle, which is why SPD was under, or still under, the consent decree. And again, it's been a federal consent decree for almost a decade at this point, and they're still having this volatile, threatening response. And there definitely is an issue with disproportionality amongst people of color and between people who are white not getting the same response. But this also demonstrates that even white people aren't safe from this. And so I don't know why people, at what point we're going to be continuously invested in having a broader conversation about limiting police access to people, but they cannot control themselves and therefore are not entitled to the great government power that they wield.
Right. And also, so what came out in the initial statement that we played yesterday, when the PIO was speaking, initially they said that well, because it was SPD speaking, they said that they deployed a less lethal that was ineffective. And come to find out that apparently it was Port of Seattle police that deployed a less than lethal, which we don't know what it is. They haven't said what it is yet. And they're saying that the less than lethal that Port of Seattle police deployed was ineffective on this guy. What role does a less than lethal have in a situation like this, Sade?
Well, what SPD is continuously doing is not using their less than lethals in the appropriate way. So we saw them attack protesters when less than lethal should have not been used in any situation. However, when they have the opportunity to use them, they're not using them. We saw the quickness for which they pulled out the guns. They got out of the car. If they would have stayed in the car, the person would have never even potentially been a threat to them. I don't think the person was a threat to them anyways. And so it looks like what they did was jump to any reason to pull the trigger. And that's the concern. They're not invested in using less than lethals. If they were, then they wouldn't start with the gun. So what SPD does is continuously change the story, right? They start with, oh, this person pulled a gun or this person pulled a knife, and we try to use a less than lethal, and it always comes out a little bit different than what actually happened. And this is part of what they do when they have the initial messaging. They give community improper feedback and an unreliable message, and they just flat out lie so that they can spin it so that they're always protecting their officers. But they are literally public servants. Therefore, they are of the government. The government is for the people, of the people. And so when they show their loyalties to protecting individual officers or even their systemic response and not the community, then we know that they should not have the awesome power that we give them.
Right. Where are you at in things, Sade? Before we let you go, we've had you on here quite a few times. Whether it was, I guess, bail fund, defending protesters, being involved in, I guess, this overall movement. Maybe you can tell our audience here, like, what is it that you're up to right now?
Well, we are still defending some of the protest cases that got filed as felonies, and I mean, I'm just working, trying to make statements and give. I have a lot of opinions, so I'm trying to give those, but we're basically working through the cases and trying to get people free.
All right. Sade Smith, civil rights lawyer. Thank you so much for taking time this morning.
Thanks, Sade.
Yeah.
So, it's always some insights there from Sade.
Absolutely. And I think that she hits on so many of the right points when we talk about, how the police really abuse their use of force. I mean, when we're talking about the fact that, hey, why don't they shoot people in the knee, shoot them in the leg, in the shoulder, maybe the shoulder that's holding the knife so that maybe the knife can be released. I mean, a lot of folks out there in the community and just in the social media ethos have been saying, well, why haven't police do this? Why don't they do that? And that's the unfortunate part.
Right. And, like I said, this again creates an opportunity for a discussion here in our city, especially around these, because even I don't know how to answer these questions. I'm definitely not an expert. Would really think that we benefit from an understanding as to why certain tactics are used. When we walk away from the discussion, you might disagree altogether, might not change your mind, but we might have an understanding of like, okay, this is why these tactics are used. Then also, community come out and say like, okay, well, maybe this is our expectations and everything else. But I don't think that things are going to move along unless there is an actual discussion around like, why are these tactics deployed and why? So this actually creates an opportunity, an unfortunate tragedy of the last 2 weeks here. The questions that people have about police tactics here in the city of Seattle. Excuse me. One thing that I wanted to say about this before we move on is that there's a whole nother. We talk about clearly the people that are shot and killed in these kind of situations, and whether it's police violence or it's citizen on citizen violence. And there's people that are impacted that are separate for it. So like on Tuesday night, a lot of people, witnessed that from their, from their windows. That's what the witness who called us, they witnessed that. They're impacted. When we talk about up there at NAM, you've got people who still haven't come home because of what occurred there. And, I know one of the things to talk to, of all city departments, Seattle Public Utilities, Mommy Hara. You've been hearing me say Mommy Hara's name and Idris Beauregard since way back in the CHOP. And also I think it's Department of Refugees down there is trying to do like trauma-informed care for people but you know, I mean, you had the street out there in the South, there was 70 bullet cases. You live in the neighborhood, you're traumatized. And so I think that another part of this that we probably don't want to leave out, and, you know, big shout out to Mami Hara, Idris Beauregard, and people out down there, refugees, is they're really trying to get into the neighborhoods to interact with, because like right now, the people up there at NAM, and I just know them personally. I do know a few people in the building that was down there in Alaskan Way, but I know these guys personally over there, and they're suffering mentally, and there really isn't a blueprint. Well, there is a blueprint that, like I said, that public utilities is working on. There is a blueprint that they're trying to roll out, but the city doesn't have a robust blueprint of like, man, how can we get assistance to people who are just traumatized by violent acts in the city, whether it's violent acts by the police or violent acts of community members against each other. It usually impacts a neighborhood or at least a whole building.
You're so right, Omari. This is another reason why community responses are so important. When you think about the brilliance of folks that are really on the ground, that are trained, that do want to bring culturally responsive care to the people that are traumatized in a large range like that. I mean, when you talk about the fact that, you know, it is tough to not only just witness something, but even when you're in your home and you're hearing those gunshots. I mean, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of PTSD and syndromes that people have to suffer. If you hear those gunshots and you talk about 70 in one parking lot or 20 that went through Jimi Hendrix Park, I mean, you're diving down, you're ducking down, you know, you're trying to get up underneath your couch or get under the bed or make sure it's not hitting you, grab your children up. There's a lot of stuff that just does not get talked about in the larger context of this.
Right.
Oh, and I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The people who live in the neighborhood, people who witness a violent act, you know, they're also victimized. They're also traumatized. So, you know, as we always talk about grounding our humanity and centering our humanity, I think that it's a great program that they have over there at Public Utilities and Department of Refugees and Women in the city. It's very small. They're just getting it off the ground. But the whole idea is they can respond say to this apartment building, or they can respond to NAM and be able to basically triage people, you know, through the mental impact and trauma that's occurred.
One thing I want to say, I'm sorry, you want to move on, but this is also why when we're talking about that, that's actually after the trauma happens, right? But there's a lot of other measures that are trying to take place before trauma happens so that people are mentally prepared in a sense and that they have that sense of village and community. I know that Institute of African Centered Thought and the Zola Project, both of these amazing groups are doing healing circles and things like that, training facilitators to take that information into their communities. And so I want to uplift that too as part of, yes, that's dealing with trauma after the fact as well. But sometimes we need to actually bring it together in larger conversations so people have something before trauma happens.
Right. I don't think it has to be either or, because what if their building caught on fire? That didn't have anything to do with someone who had a mental issue or this and that, and someone's burnt out their home. You know what I'm saying? That's a traumatic event as well. So, you know, responding to people who are experiencing trauma. Real quick, so we see Nate Jackson, the funny man, is in the green room. We wanted to bring this up real quick because I tweeted it out. Producer Nikki Barron last night on the Coronavirus Update show. I mean, Nikki only gets the biggest guests. It's like it's celebrity in the world of like COVID and medicine and everything else. She gets A-level guests over there. She had Dr. Jeffrey Duchin, and that's the big dog at Public Health Seattle, King County. A long discussion. We only had him for 20 minutes, but he stayed for 45 minutes. Answering lots of questions. And it was one thing that he said last night that just jumped out at me.
In King County, if you're Black or Hispanic, you're 3 or 4 times more likely to have a case of coronavirus compared to if you identify as white, 3 and 6 times more likely to be hospitalized. And our Black King County residents are 50% more likely to die, and our Hispanic King County residents are just about 3 times more likely to die compared to whites.
So you see the numbers here in King County, and a lot of times when we think of COVID numbers, COVID deaths, and everything else, we think of other places in America. But these numbers are very high here for Blacks and for Hispanics. And Nikki Barron, where can people find that episode, the full episode?
Website.
Oh, all across. So you want to go to whereweconverge.com. What's the / Nikki?
COVID resources.
Okay. whereweconverge.com/. Go ahead and put it in. She'll put it in the comments right now. COVID resources. It was a real informative discussion with Dr. Duchin. And man, just a reminder that like if you are a person of color in King County, you need to take this coronavirus very seriously. I mean, everybody should, but you see the rates are much higher.
Well, yeah, again, thank you, Nikki, for having, these guests on the coronavirus update. It's just important that we understand these numbers. And so many of us in community, I mean that in terms of all of like Seattle and King County, this is important, man. It's important for us to understand the basis of these numbers because a lot of folks are really trying to take those protective measures right now, and it's important.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. We got the funny man himself, Mr. Nate Jackson, back there in the green room. We're going to talk about local kid makes good. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie. This practice. Pondering my next move. Staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist. Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And Trey Holiday, let me tell you something. See now, so today we got the advantage. Like, so it was some years ago. It was back when matter of fact, I remember I was still living in Dubai. I came home for like a few weeks to visit, and my brother Kun took me down there to see Nate Jackson, man. And the reason why I say we have the control today is because that night he had the mic. See, they get out of control tonight. I could just mute him. My friend, we couldn't mute Nate Jackson, and Nate was cool with me. He was like, "Oh man, Omar, he's just home, man. He's just home from Dubai, it's this and that." Whoo! But my brother Kun, I don't even know how they still friends right now. Hey, Nikki Bear, please bring in Nate Jackson. Hey, Nate, you're the whole reason that Kun walk around with a bottle of lotion everywhere he goes these days.
Well, then everybody can thank me. You're welcome, everybody.
What's up, brother? How are you, man? It's been a long time.
I'm doing good. I was watching a little bit of this before. Y'all on here using y'all other voice. Should I clean it up?
He said we ain't using what?
He said we're using our other voice.
Oh, well, okay. Now you just catching us in a mellow movement over here. Don't worry, we definitely get out the bag. You know what I'm saying?
All right, man.
We have an esteemed guest on here right now, so we trying to act like we know something. That's all.
That's what's up.
So Nate, we got you on. You got a few things going on, and one I want to talk about this national story first, and then we'll go and we'll talk about Mr. Nate Jackson. The man, he's got the comedy club down there in Tacoma. There's only 5 Black-owned comedy clubs in America, and Nate Jackson has one of them. But we start over here with this young rock, man. I'm gonna just put up some overlays, and you can tell us about, like, man, how did you even get this role as Junkyard Dog with in the show Young Rock? And also, man, have you met The Rock?
Yes, I met The Rock a bunch of times. It's all over Zoom, just like this show is. But we got it in. We had a lot of table readings and rehearsals and things like that for episodes and shows. As far as how I got it, I mean, a traditional way, I auditioned for it. And out of however many thousands of people they auditioned, they took a liking to me. And then it worked out. It was rocky as far as whether or not I was going to get it in the first place because Corona hit and it stretched out when we were going to begin the production and all that. But then when we got the call that they moved the entire production to Australia, and your boy's passport was nice and valid, so I had it out. I don't know why I have that right here, but that works.
All right. You know, Nate, he was out there in Abu Dhabi too.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
he was right out there, man, right around the corner. We actually missed each other by about a day or two. He was out
Literally.
there. He was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's comedy all over the world, baby."
that's surreal, right? Like I'm like, why I'm in Bahrain and Abu Dhabi and
Yeah,
Dubai. I'm like, man, I'm just a chubby kid from Lacey. Like this is crazy that my ideas got me in the UAE.
Well, you know, the great thing about it, though, really, Nate, you're genuinely funny, man. People that I know that have known you for so long, they're like, man, that brother's always been the one with the joke. So, you know, it's hard for you to shake it off when it's all in you. Tell us about that, because you've always been a funny guy.
Yeah, I used to get in trouble all the time. It's just a lens. It's the way you process information. You know, I'm sure there's somebody out there that processes it. You know, everything seems like a threat to them. But you know, for me, I just see the comedy like that's the opposite of tragedy. Like we gotta have that part of us that can get through because it's life ain't easy. We need that lighter side. You know what I'm saying? So I was always just raised with that lens and being able to see. You know what's happening in society and stuff that's going on, and to find some funny in each thing on just so that there's a lighter note. So that's just been who I am.
Right, and you know another thing I can honestly say this is that Nate Jackson is also just a nice guy, and you know I mean it's a thing where they say nice guys do finish first. And I've worked on Nate with Nate on different things. You know, and some things big scale, some things small scale, some things come together, some things fall apart. But he's just consistently been like a real good person and also been a good person to community. You know, Nate, I was thinking that the reason why you got the role is you just had a face that looked like a junkyard dog.
Yeah, I do look like him a lot. Like it could be an uncle. But here's the thing, man. And this is what I basically, because sometimes you get an opportunity so big that so there's possibility for like some self-doubt to leak in. I'm like, man, am I only here because I got dude's face? You know what I'm saying? Like I thought that a little bit. And they were like, we auditioned 12,000 people. There was at least 800 that looked just like him. You're here because of your talent. Like, well, there you go. So hey, let's just see what happens in episode 103, 105, and 109. In case you missed.
All right, that's a call out right there.
Letting us know when to watch. That's what's up.
Yeah, in case you missed the one that just aired the other night, bro. This is what I just found out, right? So The Rock goes on this morning and he says, "Thank you to everybody. You made us the number one debut, number one premiere of a sitcom for NBC for the last 4 years. And in the Tuesday night primetime slot, you guys made us number one across all networks." So like I'm like, wait, so I'm on a number one show? Then we got a certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So like, you know, I'm very, very happy with the amount of eyes that saw it.
Good work, brother. And I love your sweatshirt. I just have to say that. I like that.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah. Too ready, listen, man. I need me one of those.
Don't worry. He's probably going to tell you where you can purchase some on the merchandise.
Yeah, just on my YouTube. I don't be going too hard on these. But I just want to say thank you for and for Converge Media for allowing me to come on and do and say something, because I have had very little been approached by Seattle media or news outlets over like this. Just is a testament to you guys having your ear to the ground and knowing what's happening for real and not needing to wait on press releases and the PR side of the game, or being pushed in a certain direction where you're like, we can't do those kind of stories. We got to stay talking about COVID only. We got to talk about, you know what I mean? Like you guys are like,
let me tell you something real quick. Can you bring up my camera, please, Nikki? So let's be clear. Converge Media is a Black media platform birthed in the Central District of Seattle that wants to tell and uplift and uphold Black stories from across the Pacific Northwest. Now, the rest of our city and region does benefit from our coverage, but brother, we were created to uplift people just like you.
That's fantastic. And I'm just letting you know I appreciate it even more in the presence of a lack of, it's NBC. So that's Channel 5. That's King 5. That's an affiliate. They should be going crazy over a Washington native local guy being on an international sitcom on their, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got nothing. So I'm just happy that I can get every chance I can get to say and talk to friends about it and spread the word about this opportunity, the club, and all that. I'm just super thankful. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, and let's.
I know. I just wanted to say, being here, that's really the heart of us, and it's like I started my career at King 5, and to be honest, I'm so happy that I landed right here at Converge for that very reason, Nate. Absolutely, keeping our ear to the ground and being connected to our people is who we are.
Right. So Nate, man, you know, you showed a lot of endurance and patience, like so many business owners, not only here in the state of Washington, but across the country. You were opening your comedy club right when COVID hit, and you went through the up and downs. And I remember, man, even Nate was live streaming comedy shows, and you know, just trying to get people through the door. Now the governor is giving the green light. We're in phase 2. So tell our audience all about your comedy club, the vision that went into it, and what it's like right now. I'm hearing it's pretty dope. I'm trying to get down there this weekend and see for myself.
There's nothing like it. I'll just say that. So basically, for years, I've wanted to own a comedy club. So everywhere I've gone and worked around the country, around the world, I have basically taken mental notes or actual notes in my iPhone of things that, like, qualities that different clubs had that I liked. And so when this space became available and you know, some funding became available and some support from investors became available with quite a bit of hustle, but I saw that the dream could actually come to fruition. I put all of that into this. So we have 33 feet tall ceilings. This is vaulted ceilings. This isn't like and I'm not knocking any other place, but this isn't like, you know, a stuffy situation. Like, this is big, it's grand, it's 10,000 square feet. I mean, we have room for 4 bartenders at once. We have restrooms with 6 stalls in them for both genders. We have there's a green room for the headliners. There's a separate green room for the features. Like, they don't even have to interact, which is just like, that's overkill. But this is things that I picked up on, is like, sometimes headliners don't know the other people that are on the show, and that's weird. They can't even prepare right. So I'm like, let's just give them a separate space. We got a full-time, we have a state-of-the-art podcast studio with all road recording equipment. We have there's a restroom for the headliners that has a shower in it. That's all separate from the show. The fact that we have I mean, we have $100,000 HVAC system that doesn't recirculate the air. It puts fresh air into the room so that people aren't sitting in, you know, the carbon monoxide or the exhales of other people, where they have a higher chance of catching something that, you know what I mean? We're all masked up. So that's all prior to this hitting. Then this hits. And so because of our sheer size, 660 capacity in the building, and at 25%, we do 120 in our showroom. And so that's still a pretty big show. And so it's just gorgeous. You know what I mean? And I would encourage people to come see it with their own eyes. It's the type of thing where it's like, you got to just come check it out. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, this weekend we have Mark Curry from Hanging with Mr. Cooper. You can check out our website, superfunnycomedyclub.com. Tickets are available on sale there. But I have to be forthright and tell you, we're doing a special this weekend. It's motivated by this, right? Which I want to say. We were shut down for 8 months, and we didn't have federal help. We didn't get EID help. We didn't get PPP help. We didn't get none of that. It was just myself, investment group, saying, we think that this is extremely valuable and we need to make sure that this stays. And we were able to last long enough. Some people weren't, but we're thankful that we were. And so then the governor came on 2 Fridays ago, and he says, hey, on Monday, you're allowed 25%. Well, you have to prepare for 25% the same way you prepare for 100%. Like, you still have to, you know, go through and make sure everything's fresh. You have to make sure all of your inventory is ready. You have to make sure you have to do everything again, especially when you've been shuttered for almost a year, you know? So in a year, there's things, if you don't use, they just don't work. A speaker might be like, why is it muffly? Because we didn't use it at all. There's just things you have to make sure you check on all of that. I had to rebook the club entirely. We had to update the website entirely. So we did 2 months of work in about 8 days, which means I didn't have the time to market like I did when we first ramped up, which means in order to put asses or butts in seats, we just got to do it old school. So we're doing it old school. It is ladies' night out all weekend long, and all women are free. All I need is your name, email, and phone number. Email to info@superfunnycomedyclub.com so we can get you your tickets. And here's the thing. Do me a favor. Our table seat 4 each. And due to social distancing and making sure everybody is safe, just try to bring the 4. If you got 8, cool, but increments of 4 would help us maximize our show. Because if you come by yourself, you're going to lock a whole table down, and people are going to be looking at you like, dang, like that's kind of stuff. Like, you don't want to be that person. So get 3 homegirls that you are already normally around and comfortable with and in your space that phase 2 guidelines you guys already rock. Put your mask on, come down, stay 6 feet from everybody. We got hand sanitizers like every 20 feet on the wall. We have our air on recycle. We have we're doing a lot of things for your health and safety, including temperature checks on employees, and we're doing that's our contact tracing using our clock in, clock out features on our deal. All our sales are online. That way we don't have any one-to-one contact at the box office. Like, there's a lot of stuff, but I hope you heard me say ladies are free this weekend.
You know what? I heard you say it, brother. So you be ready, because you're going to get that email from me today with me and my 3 homegirls. It is on and popping. I desperately need a laugh. And Mark Curry is amazing. I have been following his career since a child. So you will be hearing from me real soon, brother.
And so again, and Nikki has put that in the comments, but it's always good. We're gonna clip this so you can be telling everybody one more time what you want to do.
It's ladies' night out all weekend long. It is ladies' night out all weekend long. Ladies, you work hard. It's not easy being a lady. I appreciate y'all, and to show that appreciation and that love, what we're doing is we're doing all ladies free all weekend long. It's ladies' night out weekend, starring Mark Curry from Hanging with Mr. Cooper, myself as the host of the show from Def Jam and Wildin' Out and NBC's Young Rock. It's a bona fide great time. 25% capacity, 100% good times. Pull up.
Oh, love it.
All right. You know what, Mr. Nate Jackson, brother, I just want to tell you, man, we're all so proud of you. We're all so proud of you, brother. And, where you're at, what you've accomplished, and Nate Jackson really is that story of consistency. This small place here, this small club there, show up there, come here, maybe, MC an event, this and that. And then you see him moving around, then it's LA, and now it's on NBC, #1 show. And so, man, we've seen your journey, and man, just want to acknowledge that, brother, and just tell you that, man, we're all so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we're going to see you this weekend. We're going to come and hang with Mr. Cooper.
You better come on. Oh, this isn't an hour long. No, I'm just playing. All right, man. I appreciate y'all.
All right, Nate. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Nate.
Yo, Nate Jackson.
Oh, my God. You got to love that. And honestly, I love what he just said there. Hey, ladies free, I'm for it. I'm going to figure it out.
Of course you love what he just said.
I'm going to just figure it out real quick tonight.
He left out guys triple the price.
That was the old school club tactic. You know what I'm saying?
That's
ladies
what I'm
free,
saying.
it brings them in.
That's what I'm saying. But you see, that's only a real promoter from way back who knows how, okay, so man, my goal tonight is to get butts in the seat, like he said, you know what I'm saying? Expose people to the venue, let them see, let them get them talking. He's been in the game a long time, and he's picked up all these skills along the way.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to it. That's what I'm doing right after the show.
Yeah, you pretty. Look, we got a 90-second break right here. You might just go and hop in and send your mouth. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're talking to KY King Garrett of the Africatown Community Land Trust. He's talking about the State of Africatown event this Saturday. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the morning update. So that ending always gets you, huh?
I know. I just be trying to sip water real quick, and it's all good. Hey, the audience loves the real.
We're gonna send it back to Grab Bot for some editing. You can put a few more seconds of fade on there, man. All right, so I told you it was a full show today, man. We had Sade Smith, Nate Jackson, and now we've got K.Y. King Garrett, Africatown Community Land Trust. Nikki, please bring in Y King. Good morning.
Hey, peace. Good morning.
Hey,
Big dog, man. Trey
How are
Holiday. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all in good spirits too, man. There's been a lot of heavy stuff going on.
Yeah, it's been super heavy, man. And all we can do is just sometimes you just gotta smile your way through it, huh?
That's right, absolutely.
But I'll be honest with you, White King, before we get in the state of Africatown, it's always uplifting to talk to somebody like Nate Jackson. I mean, you're aware of his journey as well, man, and how he's just consistently just stayed committed to his craft. And now look at him, #1 show in the world.
That's powerful, man. That's inspiration. Him, the family that he comes from, been putting it down, in this region for some time. So yes, definitely salute. Tip my crown, hats off, and definitely got to get some laughs down there with, at the other side of I-5 with brother Nate and everything. So yeah, I be following some of the skits online, what he was doing during the pandemic, to get some of my good laughs. So definitely salute to Nate Jackson, entrepreneur, creative, and all of that good stuff,
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so the state of Africatown is on Saturday. I'm gonna put up an overlay over here while you're talking. You can tell everybody about it.
Sure. Yeah, this 8th annual State of Africatown. There's always something to be said for consistency. Institution is a place where we can, originally convened by with Honorable former State Rep Don Mason and the Black Community Impact Alliance. And we've just kept it going as a place for the policy makers to hear the policy and the solutions that we're making and developing in our own communities to address our problems. We report back on, what was the accomplishment, what did we set out to do in the past year? What did we accomplish? What are the aspirations for the year going forward and the goals, and what are some of the challenges that we face, right? And so it's a time to check in with community and really to lift up people doing great work, addressing problems in our community, and just working to move us forward, right? A lot of times we've had community forums and town halls where there's a lot of venting, about problems, and we wanted to create a space that was very solution oriented. And so it's been a place to do that and highlight a lot of the work happening locally in the Seattle and Martin Luther King County area. And this year is going to be virtual. So it's all online. This is the first year. It's going to be all online. And we actually have the benefit of bringing in some of our Black brilliance from across the country to share on some of the work and solutions that have been developed to support and move other Black communities forward. And, Africatown is all about bringing our brilliance, regardless of time or location, to guide our path forward, right? And so, again, bringing in genius, Black genius, how much work that we do, just like we just saw with our brother Nate Jackson and so many others that you highlight on this platform, which we're grateful for. To bring that forward as inspiration and a foundation for us to keep building and moving forward. So yeah, we have a lot of work that's going to be highlighted, everything from, specific, the real estate and community development projects that the Africatown Land Trust is working on, policy and all of the work that King County Equity Now has done over the last year. Other projects from the community passageways, Dominique Davis and their community safety initiative with the hubs and community safety teams. Wanawari, just highlighting how art and culture can be used to preserve and hold down Black land ownership in the Central District and other communities. East African community sisters, Sister Munira Muhammad, Jordanos Tafari from the Eritrean Community Center and the Multicultural Community Center Project, Imijah Smith, our very own hostess with the mostest, Treyana Holiday, will be hosting. We'll also hear from some of our electeds, King County Councilman Gamai Zahalai, newly elected Rep. Kirsten Harris-Talley, giving us a report from Olympia, as well as a response to the state of Africatown. And then our annual Elder of Distinction induction, and we'll be acknowledging the Honorable Gus Newport, who is a living legend among us, one of our unsung heroes, who, one of probably the few people that can say that they worked with Dr. King. They helped Malcolm X set up the Organization for African American Unity, was the mayor of Berkeley, led the Dudley Street initiative to revitalize Black community in Boston. One of the few times, or maybe the only time, that the community, Black community, actually got eminent domain, the people, to use it to improve and build their community and start a land trust and do some of the same things that we're doing here. Let's see who else. Sister Erica Ford, the founder of the Life Camp and the Peace Week, Pieces of Lifestyle movement, really done a lot to stop gun violence and the movement in New York City, particularly in Queens and in the Brooklyn area. Our very own Vanessa Smith Garrison, Garfield graduate, we got to put that in there, and co-founder of the Global Girl Trek movement, where they've mobilized over 1 million Black women for health and wellness and restoring our communities. So that's just some of the people. Majestic Lane, out of the Deputy Mayor of Chief of Equity in the City of Pittsburgh, will be speaking to, this new administration and how should our communities be looking at making sure that the Build Back Better is also Build Black Better, right? And what we should be following from federal policies all the way down to our streets and blocks to make sure that some of the promises that we heard on the campaign trail are made real. So this is just, a highlight of, we'll be talking about some of the healing initiatives in our community, grief and loss. We've had, a lot of tragedy in our community, and we have to find ways to redirect that energy. And so our Sister Couture Bryant out of Connecticut and the Zola Experience. So yes, it's power packed. It's power packed. That's what I
can say. For 4 hours from 10 to 2, and we'll be carrying that signal here on Converge. So anywhere that you're watching the morning update show right now, you'll be able to watch the state of Africatown. And it's virtual set. And man, I didn't know you're hosting, huh?
Yeah, I love that title, White King. I'll take that any day of the week. Hostess with the mostest. But one of the things I really love about this lineup is, sometimes we're realizing that there's a lot of benefit to doing things virtually, and it looks like, that Africatown modicum and the ideals that are really birthed out of all of that are able to now be showcased with folks and representatives across the nation. So that is a beautiful thing. And I know that that's something that, you and others have been working on to make sure that these relationships extend beyond Washington State. So I know that that's just kudos to the team over there for, putting down those roots to make sure that people understand and see themselves as a part of this whole thing.
Oh yeah, maybe they won't have to say, are there Black people in Seattle, right? We'll have some ambassadors, other police, to let them know there's Black people out here and we're doing some work. But again, understanding that the issues that we're facing are not gentrification, displacement. That's not limited to the CD. These are issues that are happening all over the country. And again, so as we come out of this, or we're still in the midst of this pandemic, the uprising for Black lives, we should be tapping into each other to, get the best of our experiences and solutions and be able to, be globally aware and locally active.
All right. KY King Garrett, Africatown Community Land Trust, the state of Africatown, this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. People can see it right here on Converge. Thank you for taking time this morning.
Thanks,
Man, thank you for having us, and thank you for the platform. If you're not getting your news from the morning show, the morning update, where you get your news from, huh?
Tell them about it.
You know it, brother.
Thank you, bro.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess we know where you'll be this weekend.
Yeah, you know where I'll be this weekend. Now you're gonna map out my whole weekend,
Yeah,
man. I'll be at the Nate show.
You're gonna be hanging with Mr. Cooper.
You know it.
And then you're gonna be hanging with the hood, huh?
You know it, man. That's just a great way to sum up my weekend.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It's almost the top of the hour, so it's about that time to get out of here. Any last words before we go?
Man, just make it a great one. I always love to say happy Friday Eve. We's almost there. You know, this has been a trying week on so many of us. And I love how right here on the Morning Update Show, we always want to leave you in good spirits, man, to hear about Nate, to hear about the state of Africatown. I'm uplifted.
Yeah, also good. You know, I got a lot of family down there in Texas, down in Houston, Texas. And they're in the city, third ward, right there. University of Houston, Museum District, Texas Southern, Alameda, Emancipation, Blodgett. People have been to Houston. They know what I'm talking about. Not even too far from Galleria. Man, no power, no water, no nothing. Services, at least in that area right there, have been restored. So, you know, it's just been real heavy on me the last few days. They still got a ways to go down there in Texas, and it's going to be crazy with the aftermath of it. But, you know, family is getting restored, you know, as power and water is restored down there. So I'm feeling real good about that.
Yeah, good all around.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't think we got any programming notes for yeah, we do. It's Thursday. I don't want to catch a beat down. Clap back culture. Clap back culture with Julia Jesse and Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald. Right here at 7 o'clock. And man, we see they probably got a lot to clap about. The best thing about that show too is it's national stories. Yeah. Sometimes we get so bogged down with all this stuff that's going on here locally. So clap back culture, 7 o'clock. With Julia Jesse and Mike Davis. And you know, the actual name for that show, that was became a suggestion from an audience member. Because we asked for a suggestion. It used to be political roundup update or something. It came with clapback. All right, everybody. We're going to get out of here. And as usual, a reminder to go forward in your purpose and go forward in your humanity. Until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.